The mother rushed towards the opulent mansion, carrying her paralyzed daughter, and smashed a window to enter the medical facility inside. This expensive medical pod was a dream that had always been out of reach for people like them, who lived in poverty. In just a brief, 3-second treatment, the girl miraculously stood up. They were lucky stowaways, but the fate of stowaways is tragic. However, Elysium was a place that all poor people could not reach. Here, there was no death or disease, but only 0.1% of the population had the right to live here, holding 90% of the wealth. The poor worked the lowest jobs here, and even after several lifetimes of hard work, they couldn't afford the ticket to Elysium. And the wealthy live here carefree, with an abundance of food and clothing. Max, who grew up in the slums, stared at Elysium every day, dreaming of growing up quickly to change the unfairness here.
A veces en la vida suceden las cosas y solo hay que aceptarlas. Pero una cosa sé con seguridad, eres una persona muy especial.
However, despite his efforts, he remained an ordinary worker. In addition to working on the assembly line all day without a break, Max was occasionally chastised by the security machine that watched him. One day, while charging the security robot, Max had an accident. The charging mechanism got stuck, and Max wanted to shut down the equipment to adjust it. His supervisor didn't allow it, fearing it would delay production. Reluctantly, Max went in to fix it, but the door closed suddenly while he was working on the bottom of the robot, leaving him exposed to radiation without protective gear. The workers heard the noise and rushed over to pry the door open. The manager told them to leave. When the robot finished charging, Max was dragged out like a dead dog. But even if he was taken out, he couldn't be saved. The radiation had caused his skin to peel off, and his organs were slowly failing.
You will experience catastrophic organ failure. In 5 days' time, you will die.
The factory owner arrived upon hearing the news.
Does his skin fall off or something? I don't want to replace the bedding in there. Just get him out. Yes, sir.
He was afraid that Max's skin would dirty the bed sheets, so he forced Max to sign a paper and gave him a bottle of medicine.
All extremely potent. Will keep you functioning normally until your death.
Max didn't want to die so young because he still dreamed of changing things here, but he knew his time was running out. As he struggled to make his way home, he collapsed on the ground. Fortunately, his friend Julio arrived and helped Max back home. In tears, Max told Julio that he didn't have much time left, but he didn't want to die.
Might, bro, man.
With Julio's assistance, Max found the hacker Spider, who had a way to smuggle people to Elysium. Learning about Max's limited time, Spider immediately agreed to help, but he asked Max to do something for him. Spider had learned from insider information that the factory owner, John, was a programmer for Elysium. Asked Max to help him kidnap John and siphon memories out of John's head.
Do you have any idea how many idiots come in here saying the same kind of bullshit?
Spider promised Max that if he completes the mission, then he won't have to be smuggled into Elysium and can just give him a ticket to the ship. Upon remembering John's capitalist nature, Max readily agreed to Spider's request. Spider then installed power, enhancing exoskeletons on Max's bones and implanted data receivers in his brain. Meanwhile, President Delacourt, in an effort to control Elysium, wants John to reprogram the robot so that she can continue to serve as Elysium's president. In return, John is offered a 300-year contract extension. Tempted by the benefits, John rewrites the program and implants it into his brain. But just as John took off and headed to Elysium, Max shot down the aircraft.
Critical engine failure.
At the same time, Delacourt also received news of John's attack and sent people to rescue him to ensure her plan's success. Although Max quickly arrived at the crashed spaceship, they were cautious about approaching it as the robot bodyguards on board were not easy to deal with. These bodyguards threw grenades upon exiting the ship, instantly blowing up one person and shot another person dead. Max rushed to support them, firing bullets that instantly turned the robot bodyguards into fragments. They quickly began cutting into the spaceship. However, when they were about to approach John, another bodyguard robot charged out. The crowd rushed to counterattack.
Don't hit the board!
In the ensuing struggle, Max saw an opportunity and grabbed the robot bodyguard's head, tearing it off with a single pull. However, when Max was about to transfer the data, Delacourt's henchmen arrived. Julio went to support Max, but he was quickly killed by the enemy's blades. Witnessing Julio's tragic death, Max was filled with anger. But the enemy's reinforcements arrived again. Max looked sadly at Julio and fled the place. However, Max couldn't seek medical treatment at the hospital now, so he secretly went to his ex-girlfriend Frey's house. With Frey's treatment, Max quickly recovered. Frey hoped Max could take her daughter to Elysium for treatment, as her daughter was terminally ill, and only Elysium's medical pods could cure her. Although Frey's request moved him, Max still refused to help. Max went to Spider's hideout and connected a USB interface to the computer to access the information. Spider discovered a program code in Max's brain that turned out to be the Elysium reboot program. With this program, they could send the poor to Elysium. However, Max knew he didn't have much time left and couldn't wait. Decisively, he abandoned Spider as his teammate and turned to cooperate with the president. Max threatened to go to Elysium for treatment with a grenade. But Max had just gone in and realized that Frey was in there too, which was why he wanted to leave as soon as possible, because he didn't want to involve the poor mother and daughter in front of him. It wasn't long before their ship arrived in Elysium. But just as the ship is about to land, the agent tries to grab Max's grenade. And in the chaos of the fight, the grenade is unfortunately knocked out of his hand. While Frey and her daughter managed to escape, Max was stunned by the agent Kruger. Frey takes advantage of the fight and rushes off the ship with his daughter in his arms towards the medical bay. Frey puts his daughter in the medical bay and sees hope on the horizon, but Frey fails because they don't have Elysium's residence permit. But the agent didn't care about Frey.
Please, she's sick. Help us. She's gone into a coma. Please.
When Max woke up, he found himself tied to an operating table. In a moment of crisis, Max breaks free with his match.
Got the needle prepped here. You want to grab this and then... Grab the needle! Grab the needle! Grab the needle! Stick with it!
At the same time, Kruger faced Delacour's interrogation. But instead, he smashed a mirror and used the shards to cut Delacour's throat. This time, Kruger is ready to be his own master, no longer under Delacour's thumb. Kruger then puts on his mecha gear and goes to Max to get the code from his head. Meanwhile, Max contacted Spider, and they quickly reunited. However, Kruger also found them just as they were about to reach the control center. As Max's firepower suppresses them, they rush to escape, but Kruger eventually catches up with them. Max's mech is too far behind the fight, and Max is being beaten back. During the struggle, Max seized an opportunity, grabbed Kruger, and pulled out the plug in Kruger's head. After Kruger was finally taken care of, Max and Spider hurried to the control center. But they faced a difficult choice. If they extracted the program password from Max's brain, he would die due to organ failure. But if they didn't, they would remain as lower-class Earth residents. At that moment, Max remembered his promise to Frey when he was 8 years old.
I figured out why the hippo did it.
Max pressed the button to reboot the system. As Max's life came to an end, the Elysium reboot program was finally complete. Frey's daughter received the treatment she needed. Then the Elysium's rescue plane came to Earth to save the sick humans, and they have the right to live in the Elysium ever since. And Max closed his eyes for good.